That Tupac is not who I always am. To say that I have been trying to find myself over the past few years, months, it's kind of a cliche. But since birthing my twins in 2018, I had to dig deep. I had to look inside to find out who I truly am. It takes a lot of bravery to do this, to really shed layers from a person you thought you knew, from a person that you grew up with for so long. And the path was hard. It was very difficult. Through this process, I found that there are parts of me that I could take along the way, but also parts of me that I needed to let go of. When I was 5 years old, my mother immigrated to the United States. She was about 26. We came here, my brother, my sister, and myself with her. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with my grandmother, my 2 uncles, my aunt, and a newborn baby cousin. My dad joined us about a year or so later. Living with a big family can be very challenging, but I do miss moments, like waking up and hearing my grandmother sing old songs in the kitchen while cooking for everyone, or the sneaky laughs of my uncle when they were up to no good. And yes, even the cries of a newborn baby when we were trying to get some sleep. I attended public school in the Bronx, amongst peers and adults of all different backgrounds, all different races. My best friend, a Dominican girl, who lived across the street from me. Her and I on weekends would talk on the phone while looking out of our windows together. My favorite teacher, Miss Marticelli, an Italian woman with a very thick accent, who spoke about her favorite singer, Old Blue Eyes, Frank Sinatra. Monday through Friday, I was your typical kid, going to school in the Bronx, eating cafeteria-style pizza, we all know that, playing dodgeball in the gym, and listening to music with my friends. On weekends, I was that little Guyanese girl, eating chicken curry and roti, while dancing until 3 a.m. to Indian soca and calypso.
Indian soca?
Oh yeah, I'll share some. I didn't realize that I was living a dual life and how much this would affect me as I got older. One of my biggest challenges growing up was figuring out where I fit in and who I was meant to be. It was wonderful being surrounded by all these different races, but it did give me a little bit of a hindrance. When I was watching movies with my parents and my grandmother in the living room of our apartment, I remember one time where I was watching this movie called Tizab, and this actress comes on the screen. She starts singing and dancing. I was entranced. I couldn't help but fall in love with her and figure out how can I learn more about my culture and traditions through this. And it's been through Indian dance that I've been able to learn more about where I came from and who I really am. Over the past few months, I have been working with a local group of women cultivating our stories. One story that has stood out has been when I was 7 years old, I learned how to skateboard. I don't remember much about skateboarding, but I do remember one time that I fell. And I'm sitting on the sidewalk, my uncle, well, he's freaking out. And I'm sitting there looking at this blood gushing out of my upper left thigh. And I'm thinking, man, I feel like a badass right now. And even after 30 years, I look at this scar and I think about that little girl sitting on the sidewalk, how determined, how motivated, and how driven she can be. The way how I've learned over the past few months of figuring out who I am is through this process. And we can apply this into our daily lives. These things about storytelling, reliving your past, they all shape who you are. Formulating gratitude, meditation, journaling, daily exercise, and reflection is really important. Try to incorporate that in your life. So who am I? I'm not only that dupatta that's draped across me when I'm performing on stage. Everything that I believe, everything that has challenged me, all of my experiences, that has shaped who I am.
something I've been passionate about from early on. At 12, I was translating poems into lyrics, strumming badly on the guitar, but eventually I found a love for performing, and a lot of what I initially learned came from my dad. A lifelong actor, my dad taught me the importance of working the whole stage, finally my life, and that pauses could have impact or be uncomfortable. Watching him for so many years, I saw how connected he was to his art. If he wasn't performing, he would feel lethargic, stir-crazy, even depressed. And we would often have conversations about his childhood and how he used to escape his stressful home life by actively creating a new one, utilizing different names and accents. These different personalities were his play, his therapy of sorts. He could use his imagination to dive into a different world. And feeding himself into these characters, he could be anyone he wanted. When I turned 18, I was fresh off the release of my first project, and I was feeling a bit defeated, to say the least. I was overwhelmed with the desire to be bigger, be greater, but with no real financial return on my musical investment, and a lack of direction on where to go next. I was losing confidence in my abilities. I began to think, maybe I'm not interesting enough. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I just needed to be someone different to be successful. So I began running over thoughts in my head about creating a new persona with a new name, like Beyonce's Sasha Fierce, the altar that Beyonce uses on stage to leave her day-to-day realities out of the spotlight. In The Alter Ego Effect, author Todd Herman describes this idea of the phone booth moment, a nod to the location where Clark Kent transforms into Superman. This idea describes how people have been known to switch on a personality in order to focus a talent or skill, in order to leave their emotions out of the way. I remember sitting in my bedroom trying to come up with who I could lay my superpowers under. What would I call myself? How would I dress, and what would I sound like? But all of these questions led to great confusion. I began going into my creative process with this mindset of, what will other people like? What will the world want? And I was struggling because I was losing sight of what I wanted to create. This quest to become a somebody, to be anybody but Maya, was killing me as I was browsing other artists and creatives, comparing and scrutinizing myself, wondering, well, how can I be more like them? Over time, I fell into depression. Weeks full of tears, apathy, not wanting to get out of bed. The depth of my self-sabotage had become so great that I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize myself anymore. I don't even know who I am. Where's the blueprint to the master plan? Swear I never saw it. If I did, I wouldn't be in this position. All my dreams in a garbage bag, I'm taking out the trash. Swear I don't know if they matter anymore, if anyone cares anymore. Is this what I'm here for? That's universal habit. Those songs and writing those personal songs required introspection, which led me to an ultimatum. I could give up completely, or I could learn to love Maya and fulfill the dreams that I've had since I was a kid. Well, I chose the latter. See, my dad and I were both seeking asylum in our art, him from his reality and I from myself. Only once I decided to accept myself, that there was no one else that I would rather be, did I begin to write and sing in purpose, making meaningful work that I'm proud of. I now believe that success, though subjective, lies in owning who you are and telling your unique story. So Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am Maya, by name, by choice. Who are you?
How are you doing? Great. So oftentimes my identity has been being a mom, an artist, a scholar, a performer. But I'm also identified as this. A mover. So oftentimes we find our identity through our oral traditions, through written traditions. We find it through the stories that are told from us of things that we can't really remember, but we really never look at them through the gestures or the movement and the movement patterns that we have in our life, through our movement histories. So I was fortunate for the past 2 years to research Black women in the Buffalo community. And I asked them, when did they discover joy, and when did joy discover them? And through this process, they found their identity through the mundane, but not through the extraordinary. So here's the clip. What is joy?
Joy for me is like a little bit different than happiness. It's like happiness squared. It's like happiness, I can like have a pervasive mood of happiness that kind of follows me, but there's like moments and pockets of joy. I just really feel it deeply and I feel it differently, and like I feel it in my whole body, my heart smiles.
But it's internal. So it's not always what you're showing on the outside. It's the realization of all the blessings that you have.
As Black women, we're stereotyped to have all these other attributes of being angry or being strong and all these other things, and we're not necessarily taught or shown that we have a right to be vulnerable, that we have a right to feel, that we have a right to show those feelings and share those feelings. So I think they definitely need to know, be taught the word joy, to taught, how to name it, how to recognize it, and that they have a right to own it.
We'll share this out afterwards.
Yes, now it's on our website, movementofjoy.com, so we can also watch little clips of that as well. But through these interviews and through researching with these women, I come to find my own joy, but I've also come to find identity, an identity through past, present, and future that lives through our movement histories. And what is our movement histories? They're things that we have to ask of ourselves. They're questions. If you never ask the question, you never get the answer. And if you don't do it through movement, then you'll never know a part of your identity that lives and exists inside of you. So what I would like us to do today, because I am a practitioner, although I love talking sometimes as a professor, we're going to move a little bit, and we're going to help to find our identities. So with the interviews, I found that our identities live in 4 spaces: through play, through resistance, through community, and through self. And the idea is that if we find movement in through all of these spaces, then we're able to find joy in totality. And we're able to find our identity in totality in the ways that we move and the histories that live inside of all of us. So today we're going to explore play. So everyone stand up or sit down. You don't have to stand if you don't want to. And for me, I found play in Jamaica, Queens, New York, because that's where my family's from. And we do it through double dutch, which looks something like this. Right? So every time I do this brings me a sense of joy, but it also takes me to a space of identity that I choose to live and remember in my body and experience. Okay? So let's all double dutch. Good. Now this does come to a thing because I create choreography out of all these different experiences and different people and create a full identity for us all. So we're going to do that today. So I want people to shout out different forms of play that they remember. Present, past. What was it?
Tag.
Tag. Okay. Tag. So we have double dutch. We got tag. Okay, what's the next one?
Jump rope.
Jump rope. Go, what's the next one?
Boxing.
Oop, I haven't heard boxing. So we have double dutch, tag, jump rope, boxing. Good, let's do 2 more.
Roller skating.
Roller skating. Good, let's go from the beginning. So we have double dutch. I'm gonna remember as I keep doing it. Tag.
Jump rope.
Jump rope. Boxing. Skating. And one more. Hide and seek. Which almost looks a little like shadow boxing. There. So, let's do this all together. One last time. We have double dutch. Oh, I was thinking of the second one. Tag. I'm supposed to know this as improv artist, right? Tag. We have jump rope. We have boxing. We have hide and seek.
Skating. Oh,
And
skating.
skating. Oh! Skating. And we have hide and seek. Good. And everyone have a seat. So what I've done from asking all these questions of joy and bringing these different identities through play, through resistance, through community, through self, is that I create choreography from it, which looks something like this. And I'll do it with what we just did now. So we seek identity in a multitude of ways, but the ways for us to seek identity, especially within ourselves, is through the movement histories, and the movement patterns that we do every day. Thank you.